All right, I have the first place deck profile of Rikka with me, and you can go ahead and introduce yourself, and let's talk about your list.
Hey everybody, I'm Josiah Nelson. I played Flower Girls. I'm surprised they got first place, but we're here.
Yeah, they were honestly very, very powerful. Way more than I expected. I think that, what would you think? I mean, you're like pretty much the expert on this list. I think you did really well with it and made a lot of really good plays. But I'm a little curious as to like a couple of like choices as to like why you played like maybe like a copy of Rikka Petal, other copies maybe like Primula maybe like I'm not sure if this was like something that was like worth playing. Tell us about it.
Okay, so in terms of the Rikka card ratios, that was actually the first thing I wanted to say. I would definitely immediately cut Primula. I ran her as an extra target because a lot of times what will happen is you can just search. You can like go through like the entire engine of the deck with summon Petal, search Mudan, special summon Mudan search for Glamour, and then Glamour search for Snowdrop. So like you can thin your deck if you want.
Right.
And that's how I was playing it when I first started playing the deck, because I don't know if it's like that for other people. When you first like pick up a deck and you see all the things it can do, you can just want to do as much as you possibly
You want to play everything, yeah.
Yeah, and then it was sort of throughout the tournament, like especially the last couple of matches, I realized like that not only is that not the play, but it's just like Petal was definitely the MVP.
Oh yeah, definitely came back every standby phase.
Yeah,
at least 2 copies, right?
I was initially deciding to run one because like I was like I'm always gonna search it with Mudan or Glamour, so like I only need 1 copy, only one can activate Engrave.
Right.
But then like, because the idea was the deck just runs broken plant starters, so you have 1-for-1 to search Petal. You have the 3 Lone Fire, like the best card in the deck, and you have Mardell. All of those will either add or search plants. So I was like, I'm always going to get Petal. But then what ended up coming up a few games that I just lost is I didn't have a normal summon.
Yeah.
Because you'd get hands where like you'd have Mudan, Snowdrop, Hellbore, Erica, Mardell, but no card that can be normal summoned, and you just pass.
Did Primula come up in that case where like the normal summon was fine? Because she's like a level 4, and I know she can be like an extender at times.
Yeah. That was the idea. I was like, I want another target for Glamour if I already have all the pieces in hand. And I was like, this one's great. It's an extra extender to help me play through negates.
But it's probably better to search for Hellbore.
Yeah. It turned out she didn't help me play through
or just Snowdrop to play for the next turn. Right.
Yeah. In the end, like my last few matches, I never searched her. Whenever I saw her in my hand, I was like, if only this was any other card.
Right.
I definitely would not run her. Even with the new level 4 XYZ monster coming out in Rise of the Duelist, I don't know if she's worth it. Like she feels very awkward.
Makes sense.
But yeah, definitely the cards that did not perform well in the Rikka list that I would cut would be Primula and then also Erica. The Honest.
Right.
I picked her because her effect of special summoning from the grave when a monster is tributed is great. The Honest wasn't too relevant, but like I was like, okay, this will be definitely worth to like set up an extra extender in the grave. But in the end, like whenever I had additional resources, I would have rather had them be hand traps over her.
Yeah.
And, whenever I could search something, I would rather search Hellbore.
Yeah,
I was like, I would much rather have Hellbore because she's an actual negate that like helps me not lose in one turn. So yeah, in terms of the Rikka cards themselves, Hellbore was actually a lot better than I thought. And the reason being, one of the deck's main choke points is your goal is to get at least 2 monsters on the board, one of them being Snowdrop. Use Snowdrop effect to make everything level 8, and then make your Teardrop.
Right. And if it gets Veilered, then you can go into something like Jasmine in the extra, and then you can just tribute something off and get access to Hellbore, and then you have your rank 8 play.
Yeah, that's the goal. And in the end, what I realized was Hellbore actually was incredibly helpful. It happened in a couple matches or games where I was able to sneak Hellbore in my grave without my opponent realizing what her effect was, use Snowdrop effect, and they realized that was the choke point, so I'd get their negate on that. And then I would summon Hellbore from the grave by tributing off my other monster, and now I have 2 level 8s anyways.
Right.
to go into teardrop.
In terms of your hand trap lineup, looks like you're running, I believe, 7 in total. Oh, actually, no, including the impermanence, you're running 10. So how are those? Did those perform well, or was anything a change for them?
I think in a regular tournament, because that's what I tested before, was in real life with some friends. And a lot of times people will see Lone Fire Blossom and they're like, oh, that can summon out anything from the deck. Better negate that. And they'd like burn an Ash or something. And Gamma at that point is 2 additional bodies to work with, which could be Dragite, I think, is the one.
Yeah, Dragite.
Or you can go into, it never happened in the tournament, or you could go into Jasmine. Tribute off the Gamma because it doesn't have to be a plant, it can be any monster,
right?
And then you leave the driver up, since driver is a level 6, to make Kanzashi.
Oh, that's really interesting. Actually, I never thought about that.
It's like, it's a neat interaction, but it's so niche. I definitely I don't think it was worth it. Gammas definitely weren't worth it in this tournament, and I think even in real life I'd actually almost rather play 3 called by and run Gammas in the side, unless I was trying to blind second in real life as well. And
obviously the Veiler was pretty solid, like, as well as like the impermanence. I mean, just amazing. Most of the time you just hit normal summons, and then a lot of the time they just pass their turn. Nibiru, there's not really much to say about that, you know.
Oh my god,
pretty broken.
Yeah. No, so like the power cards you see here, evenly matched, Lightning Storm, and 3 Nibiru. The cards in a rogue tournament like this, where it's like not just like rogue, it's like a tier below rogue. The cards just end the game on the spot if they resolve. So that's really all I have to say about that. If I didn't have those, it would be the other 2 Veilers and the 3 Ghost Mourners, just for a more full hand trap lineup. Because like the deck, it doesn't really want more extenders because it can't really do anything other than teardrop. Like your best play is make a teardrop and pass. Sometimes Alsai. So Alsai, I guess maybe we're like getting too far ahead, but for the extra deck, really the only 6 cards that regularly come up is Alsai and Teardrop. Teardrop's the boss monster you're just always trying to end on. It's basically kind of similar to a Trident. You pop 1. It's a tribute though, instead of a destruction.
So it's a little better.
A little bit. It's a little harder to get to though. Trident, you just
you just put it right on top of a zoo.
And then Alsai, the other one, the big thing with Alsai is 1, it shuffles into the deck, but 2, it can target back row and also set cards. Alsai actually did come up quite a lot.
So it was a little more important than Teardrop, except that it can't be activated on your opponent's turn, so that's why Teardrop's probably the better one overall.
Yep. Alsai was sort of like either A, if I could make 2 level 8s, or B, it was like a panic button.
Did you ever did you ever add a card off of Alsai's effect? Like, did you ever like call impermanence or something and add it?
I tried to. It never actually happened. I'm trying to remember what I called.
Most of the time you just want to spin something, right? Like you just put something back in the deck. So
yeah, generally you just like you were mentioning, you could use it as a bluff, as something that's like already in your hand,
or in your side deck. Like, you could side out Nibiru's and then just call Nibiru, and then
or like if you have like a Lightning Storm in hand and you want to make it look like you're looking for one. I don't know. I think I'm trying to remember what I was looking for. I think I was looking for just a Lone Fire Blossom because I really needed another extender, so I called Lone Fire Blossom. I didn't hit it, but that came up, and that only really came up when I was like so far ahead it didn't matter.
At that point it didn't matter if you get the add or you get the bounce. But what about your side deck? How was like Paper Tops? Did you ever put in Gamma Ceiling? Was it ever like worth it?
My side is a joke. I think the hand traps were fine. I always sided in the hand traps. So like if I knew, so here was the thing. 2 Tranquility was a bad call. After playing the deck, I still think Tranquility is the best follow-up speller trap. When you can search, because eventually you're going to make Teardrop, and a lot of times you're going to make a Mudan at the same time, and Mudan's either going to search Glamour for a hand trap, or she's going to search one of the speller traps. And the options are Sheet, Flurries, or Tranquility. And the other 2, Sheet and Flurries, they're just so gimmicky and hard to trigger. Well, Tranquility, like there's no prerequisites. You can like fire it off whenever you want on your own terms. Something really nifty is if there's something that targets, you can use it to dodge the targeting. But a lot of times you just want to get Mardell in your graveyard because she searches on special summon, just any type of special summon. She'll search a plant monster. So if you can get Mardell and another Rikka monster in grave, you just plus out of it, and it sets up for the next turn.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Always having like the snowdrop for the follow-up was like really solid. And even if you didn't have it, a lot of the times you could just get to it on your turn anyways. So it was always like snowdrop was always just really, really strong. And yeah. So what about like the called by in the side? Did you ever put this in like you said in the place of Gamma? Never. Really?
Okay. So Gamma, I would side out with other hand traps if I knew because the thing was a lot of times I didn't know if my opponent was going to make me go first or second, and I was just in that weird spot. So I would like side out the Evenly, the Lightning Storm, and the 3 Gamma. And the driver. So and I would side in the 4 hand trap lineup, and then after that, it was really just like matchup specific.
What were the other 2 cards that you would put in? Probably strikes or something, or maybe I guess it's matchup dependent.
It's actually, really, I don't think I ever sided in this unless I knew I was going first. If I knew I was going first, I sided in called bys and strikes. But most of I never sided in Kaiju's. I probably should have versus Zoo. I definitely think that would have been a lot more helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, no, in terms of side, I definitely don't think the side was right. I think in this tournament, especially, Ghost Ogre was something I wish I had.
Especially after seeing a lot of other lists, like Ghost Ogre was very, very strong.
Yeah, like versus Zoo, it just ends their turn. They lose their normal summon unless they have Monster Reborn and Barrage. They're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and against the Dark Magician, you could hit either Circle or you could hit Eternal Soul, and Eternal Soul just blows up their whole board. So that would have been really good. So
yeah, so definitely.
Ghost Ogre would have been great.
I'm not sure if I'd run it in the main or the side, but Ghost Ogre definitely. I feel like Graveyard Hate, which probably would have been a lot better. I mean, that's sort of what Called By is, like pseudo Graveyard Hate. But I think really the only like major changes I would want to make to the deck would be to cut 1 Tranquility, the Erica, and the Primula. Those 3 cards all kind of underperformed. I didn't want to ever see Tranquility in my opening hand, and when I did, it was sort of like this could have been a hand trap.
Right.
Primula, same thing. I was like, this could have been a Petal. And if it was a Petal, I could just search Snowdrop and then pop off from there. But instead, I have like a dead card in my hand.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then Erica, it was like Erica was good, but it was never like, I don't know. The Honest effect just isn't good enough.
Yeah, a lot of times it wasn't a good enough boost to like kill the opponent or like kill the monster at least.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, the last card I haven't talked about was the other one of Rose Girl.
Oh yeah, that's right.
This card is just so good.
I think it really overperformed. When I first read it, I was like, yeah, that's all right. And then like I saw it in action, I was like, wow, that's actually really good. Like, being able to be like Snowdrop's like special fodder was really solid, and then like being able to recur every single turn was just great.
Yeah,
or a free summon.
That was the main thing that came up was like either I would pull her from grave and she would be that normal summon because it's something the deck needs. It's something to normal summon to tribute off. So a lot of times she'd be that, or she would be the special summon fodder because Snowdrop cannot resolve if she doesn't have another plant monster special summon from hand.
Right.
It's not like up 2/2. It has to be 2. It has to have one other plant monster.
Right.
I would never run Rose Girl at more than 1. I was trying when I first started the deck just because I thought she was really good. But when you run her at more than 1, that's when she underperforms.
Right, because then you can't ever get the second one back from the grave.
Yeah. But like because the thing is, I don't think she's great in terms of like opening hand. But if you see all of your other pieces, she's like amazing to search with Mardell. She's amazing to eventually go into off like a Blossom if you want that extra resource in grave. But yeah, no, overall she did what I intended for Primula to do, which was be an extra special summon sometimes so I could make 2 level 8 XYZs or make a Jasmine to like play around negates is what Rose Girl ended up doing.
Yeah.
Like Rose Girl is Primula but better.
Well, I think that's about it. I think we went over everything pretty well. Is there any other last things you'd like to say?
Yeah, I think if I were to play this, like the deck definitely isn't good enough to like compete with like meta decks.
Oh yeah, probably not for at least a while.
Yeah, but the upgrades I would make now to the deck. I think in general, when you're playing like weaker rogue decks, you sort of have to play the power cards. I know like a lot of rogue people will play like blind going second with like 3 evenly matched, and just like genuinely good going second cards. That's probably the best way to play the deck. But the one addition I would add, I actually saw another player running, another Rikka player online running, was he was playing a mini generator package with 1 Har and boss
Probably the
stage.
boss stage,
And
yeah.
so if you ever were able to resolve the Mardell, you could pull out Har for an additional negate.
Is it 2 A's? I'm not sure.
It's 2 R's, I think. It's HARR.
Oh, there it is.
Oh yeah, that works. Yeah. Just his effect. It's like the boost that they need, because generally versus a lot of meta decks, like 1 tribute isn't enough to keep you from getting OTK'd or just snowballed out of the game. So I think Har is like, it's like Rikka's best option as another opening board.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely think that's the way to go. Yeah. Outside of that,
looks like a free negate as well as like a send on your opponent's turn, right? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think the main
good.
thing that comes up is the negate. For the extra deck, it stayed pretty similar. 3 teardrop, 3 Alsai. I usually only run 1 Kanzashi just because she doesn't come up very much, like at all. Other options you can run is VFD.
Yeah.
VFD. It's not, you can't make turn 1 VFD, but it's a good way to seal off the game later on if you can get Mardell on the field and Snowdrop in the field without locking yourself into plants.
Right.
But yeah, no, I don't know. The big thing with Rikka's is you're locked into plants through Petals effect and Snowdrop's effect. So until
that's
we
why
get
this
some,
doesn't really come up. The calamities don't come up too often.
Until we get some better extra deck plant monsters, or a more stuff to go off than Teardrop, I think the extra deck, there isn't really a lot you can do other than run 3 extravs.
Yeah, pretty much for the most part right now. So yeah, well, congrats on first place. You played pretty well throughout the entire tournament, so I think it was well deserved. But yeah, thanks for playing.
Yeah, thanks for hosting the tournament. It was a lot of fun. I look forward to the next one.
All right.